The twin sons of Kithara beat down mercilessly on Captain Marcus Reed as he pushed through the crowded marketplace. Sweat dripped from his forehead, mixing with the dust that seemed to cover everything on this forsaken world. His cargo ship had broken down 3 days ago, and now he was stuck on a planet known for its black markets and questionable dealings. Marcus had seen many things during his years as an independent trader, but nothing had prepared him for the sight that stopped him cold in the center of the bazaar. A crude wooden platform stood elevated above the crowd, and upon it was a scene that made his blood boil. Nexlot, they bellowed, a massive alien, with 4 arms and skin like cracked leather. Female luminary, age approximately 25 standard years. Excellent condition, strong and intelligent. Bidding starts at 5,000 credits. The woman on the platform was breathtaking despite her circumstances. Her skin held a subtle blue luminescence that seemed to pulse with her heartbeat, and her silver hair fell in waves past her shoulders. Most striking were her eyes, violet orbs that blazed with unbroken defiance even as crude metal shackles bound her wrists. She wore only torn fabric that barely covered her, but she held herself with such dignity that Marcus felt ashamed for the crowd of aliens who leered at her exposed form. When their eyes met across the sea of buyers, he saw something that hit him like a physical blow, not just fear or anger, but a fierce pride that refused to be broken. 6,000, called out a reptilian creature with yellowed fangs. 7,000, countered another bidder. This one humanoid, but with skin like bark, Marcus watched as the luminary woman, Zara. He heard someone call her, surveyed the crowd with those burning violet eyes. She was looking for something, maybe someone who might show mercy. When her gaze found him again, something passed between them that he couldn't explain. The auctioneer was growing excited as the bids climbed higher. 10,000 from the gentleman in the back? Do I hear 11? Marcus felt his hand rise almost without conscious thought. 15,000, he called out, his voice carrying clearly across the marketplace. The crowd turned to stare at him alone, human among dozens of alien species. Murmurs rippled through the gathered buyers as they tried to assess this unexpected competitor. Zara's eyes widened slightly. The first crack in her stoic facade, she tilted her head, studying him with an intensity that made his heart race. 20,000. Came another bid from somewhere to his left. Marcus didn't hesitate. 25,000 credits, final bid. Unlikely a Lanceth auctioneer's gavel came down with a resounding crack. Sold to the human for 25,000 credits. Marcus pushed through the crowd, his heart pounding as he approached the platform. He had just spent nearly all his savings on a complete stranger, and he wasn't entirely sure why. As he handed over his credit chip, Zara watched him with suspicious violet eyes. The shackles came off with a click, and immediately Zara rubbed her wrists where the metal had chafed her luminescent skin. She stood gracefully, every movement fluid despite her obvious exhaustion. "Why?" was the first word she spoke to him, her accent musical but cautious. "Because no one should be property," Marcus replied simply. Offering her his jacket to cover herself, she accepted the garment but kept her distance. Humans do not help without wanting something in return. "What is your price?" Before Marcus could answer, shouts erupted from the edge of the marketplace. Several armed figures were pushing through the crowd, their weapons drawn and their intentions clear. "Slave runners," Zara breathed, her face paling. "They must have followed the transport here." Marcus grabbed her hand without thinking. "We need to move." Now, they ran together through the twisting alleys of the marketplace, Zara proving surprisingly quick despite her bare feet. Behind them, the sound of pursuit grew closer, heavy boots and angry voices. Calling for their capture, their Zara pointed to a narrow passage. Between 2 buildings that led toward the crystal, formations on the city's outskirts, the caverns will hide our heat signature. They squeezed through the gap. Just as plasma bolts began sizzling past their heads, the crystal caverns beyond were a maze of reflecting light and shadow, perfect for losing pursuers but treacherous to navigate. Deep in the caves, they finally stopped to catch their breath. Marcus leaned against the smooth crystal wall, his chest heaving. A sharp pain made him look down to see blood seeping through his shirt where a bolt had grazed his shoulder. "You're injured," Zara said, her tone softening for the first time. "It's nothing," he insisted. But she was already moving closer. "Let me see." Her hands were gentle as she helped him remove his shirt, and he sucked in a breath that had nothing to do with pain. Her touch sent electricity through his skin. "Hold still," she whispered, and her hands began to glow with a soft blue light. The burning sensation in his shoulder gradually faded, replaced by a warm tingling that seemed to spread throughout his body. When she finished healing him, they were very close. Her luminescent skin cast dancing patterns on the cave walls, and Marcus found himself lost in those incredible violet eyes. "Thank you," she said quietly, and for the first time he heard genuine gratitude in her voice. Trust in the darkness. Crystal caverns stretched endlessly into darkness, their walls singing with harmonic vibrations that made conversation difficult. Marcus and Zara had been walking for hours, their footsteps echoing strangely in the confined space. "We can rest here," Zara said, indicating a wider chamber where the crystals formed natural benches. "The acoustics will warn us if anyone follows." Marcus sank gratefully onto the crystal formation, his legs aching from the constant climbing and descending through the cave system. Zara settled across from him, the blue glow of her skin providing their only light source. "Tell me about your people," he said after they had shared some of his emergency rations. Her expression grew distant. "The Luminar were peaceful. We lived in harmony with our world's energy fields, using them to heal and create rather than destroy." She touched one of the crystals, and it began to pulse gently in response. "We had no weapons, no armies. When the consortium ships arrived, we thought they came in peace. What happened? They said they wanted to study our abilities, to learn from us. Instead, they studied us like specimens." Her voice grew hard. "They discovered our healing powers, our connection to energy fields, and decided we would make perfect slaves. Immune to most diseases, able to work in hazardous conditions, naturally empathetic." Marcus felt anger burning in his chest. "How did they capture you?" "I was a healer in the capital city. When the attacks began, I stayed behind to help the wounded." Her luminescent skin dimmed slightly. "I was the last one they took from my settlement. The temperature in the caves was dropping as Kithra's sun set outside." Marcus noticed Zara shivering despite her natural warmth. Without thinking, he moved to sit beside her. Offering to share his body heat, she hesitated for a moment, then leaned against him. The sensation of her luminescent skin against his was intoxicating, warm, and somehow alive in a way that made his pulse quicken. "Why did you really buy me?" she asked quietly, her head resting on his shoulder. Marcus considered lying, giving her some noble reason that would make him seem heroic. Instead, he told the truth. "Because when I looked at you up there, I saw someone who refused to be broken. Someone worth saving." She turned to face him in the crystal-lit darkness, and suddenly the space between them seemed to crackle with energy. Her violet eyes searched his face as if looking for deception and finding none. "Marcus," she whispered, and his name on her lips sounded like music. He cupped her face gently, feeling the subtle pulse of light beneath her skin. "Zara." When their lips met, it was like touching a live wire. Her luminescence flared brighter, casting rainbow patterns through the crystals around them. The kiss was gentle at first, then deeper as she pressed closer to him. Her hands tangling in his hair, they broke apart breathlessly, foreheads touching in the dancing light. "This is dangerous," she whispered. "Everything about this is dangerous," he replied, but he didn't pull away. Heart's Unitedin light filtered through cracks in the cavern ceiling as Marcus woke to find Zara curled against his side, her skin still glowing softly in sleep. They had held each other through the cold night, sharing warmth and whispered conversations about their dreams and fears. "We should move," she said, stirring as the light touched her face. "The bounty hunters will have scanning equipment." They emerged from the caves to find themselves on a rocky plateau, overlooking the crash site where Marcus's ship lay damaged. The vessel looked even worse in daylight. Hull plates buckled, one engine completely destroyed, and scorch marks across the cargo bay doors. "Can it be repaired?" Zara asked as they approached the wreck. Marcus ran his hands over the damaged systems, his heart sinking. The main drive is shot, life support is failing. I don't have the parts or credits to fix it. Zara placed her hand on the ship's hull, and immediately her skin began to pulse with brighter light. Luminary technology works differently than yours. We use biological energy matrices instead of mechanical systems. Meaning, I might be able to heal your ship the same way I healed your wound, Marcus stared at her in amazement as she began to work. Her hands moved across the damaged areas, and wherever she touched, the metal began to reshape itself. Sparks flew from severed connections as they fused back together. The process was clearly exhausting her. Sweat beaded on her forehead, and her usual radiance began to dim. When she swayed dangerously, Marcus caught her in his arms. "That's enough," he said firmly. "You'll burn yourself out." She looked up at him with those incredible violet eyes. Suddenly the desire between them was a tangible force. Her healing efforts had left her skin hypersensitive, and every place his hands touched sent shivers through both of them. "Marcus," she breathed, and then they were kissing again, more passionately than before. He lifted her onto the ship's cargo platform, their hands exploring each other with desperate urgency. Her luminescent skin painted patterns of light across his body as they moved together, and when she gasped his name, the sound echoed across the empty plateau. Afterward, they lay entwined on the makeshift bed in his quarters, her head on his chest and her hair spreading like liquid silver across his skin. "The ship should fly now," she said softly, tracing patterns on his chest with her fingertip. "But there's something else. My people, there are others who escaped the consortium. They built a hidden settlement in the outer rim." Marcus felt his heart leap. How far? 3 days' flight in a ship like this. But Marcus, they won't trust an outsider easily. They've been betrayed by other species before. He pulled her closer, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "Then we'll have to convince them that some humans are different." Her skin pulsed brighter with hope and something deeper. "Yes," she whispered. "We will." Freedom's light-stolen bounty hunter ship descended through Kithra's atmosphere like a predator seeking prey. Marcus watched the scanner readings with growing concern as 3 more vessels appeared on the edge of sensor range. "They've found us," he said grimly. His hands flying over the controls to coax more speed from the repaired engines, Zara strapped herself into the co-pilot seat, her skin flickering with nervous energy. "How many?" "For ships, all armed." Marcus's jaw tightened. "The consortium must have put a serious bounty on both of us." The first plasma barrage lit up space around them, and Marcus threw the ship into a diving spiral toward the planet's surface. Zara's hands moved across the Luminari-modified control panels, her touch somehow making the ship respond faster than its original specifications should have. "Loud. There's a canyon system ahead," she called out, pointing to the scanner. "If we can reach it, the narrow passages will force them to follow single file." They skimmed the canyon walls at dangerous speeds. The pursuit closed behind. The modified engines screamed in protest, but Zara's bioenergy enhancements kept them running. Past their breaking point. "They're gaining," Marcus reported as another volley of plasma bolts scorched past them. Hull's eyes blazed with determination. "Take us up." Straight up. Marcus didn't question her, pulling the ship into a vertical climb that pressed them both back into their seats. Behind them, the bounty hunters followed, their larger ship struggling with the sudden change in vector. "Now," Zara said, and her entire body erupted with brilliant light. The Luminari. Energy surge she channeled through the ship's systems created an electromagnetic pulse that fried the electronics of their pursuers. 4 ships tumbled helplessly toward Kithra's surface while Marcus and Zara shot free into open space hours later. They approached the coordinates Zara had given him. At first, Marcus saw nothing but empty space and distant asteroids. Then Zara placed her hand on the communications console, and her light pulsed in a complex pattern. The asteroid field shimmered, and suddenly, a hidden space station materialized before them. Elegant spires of living crystal that pulsed with the same soft luminescence. Zara's skin. "My people," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. The docking bay was filled with Luminari, dozens of them, all glowing with joy and relief as they welcomed Zara home. Marcus hung back, suddenly aware that he was the only non-luminary present. An elderly male approached, silver hair marking him as an elder. He spoke to Zara in their musical language, his tone clearly questioning as he glanced at Marcus. Zara responded firmly, taking Marcus's hand and pulling him forward. The gesture was clear. He was with her. Under her protection, the elder studied Marcus for a long moment, then said in accented English, "You freed one of our daughters from slavery." "She freed herself," Marcus replied. "I just gave her the chance." The elder's stern expression softened slightly. "And what do you want in return, human?" Marcus looked at Zara, her violet eyes bright with hope and love. Around them, her people waited for his answer. He could ask for anything: technology, wealth, safe passage to any world he chose. Instead, he squeezed Zara's luminescent hand and smiled. Just the chance to build something new. Together, the elder's face broke into the first smile Marcus had seen from any luminary. "Then welcome to New Haven, Marcus of Earth. Welcome home." As the crowd erupted in celebration, Zara pulled him close for a kiss that lit up the entire docking bay. They had found freedom among the stars. Something far more precious, they had found each other. In the months that followed, Marcus would help establish trade routes that brought prosperity to the hidden settlement, while Zara used her healing gifts to help other escaped slaves. Together they proved that compassion could bridge any gap between species, and that love could flourish even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. Their story became legend among the free peoples of the Outer Rim, the human who chose compassion over profit, and the luminary who taught him that true freedom was something you shared, never something you kept for yourself.